I'm CD Demiscio, publisher of Vagobond magazine, and welcome to Web3 Lifestyle Space. Joined by my co-hosts today, Riona Morgan and E.R. Donaldson, who have taken time from Labor Day to join us here at BMGM. BMGM, you guys, how's it going? Happy Labor Day.
BMGM, happy Labor Day.
MGM, good to see you all.
You know, I think we're the only country in the world that celebrates Labor Day on the first Monday in September. The rest of the world all celebrates it on May 1st, May Day, which is Labor Day. But no matter what country you're in, thanks for your labor. Especially, I think Labor Day should be a day to celebrate moms and the days they have to go into labor. It's just always been my thought. Anyway. It's a silly thought. So, what are you guys doing on this fine day? Do you have barbecue plans? Hanging out with the family? What's going on?
I am writing. I'm working on a new project, and I just really thought that this weekend would be a great weekend to just settle in and get in the zone and write. And I wrote 4,000 words yesterday, so very exciting.
I'm jealous, Rihanna. I am not writing. We're actually going through some pretty big changes on the home front. We're selling our home, and the closing date for the sale of the house is tomorrow. So the final walkthrough was today. So we took the kids and the dogs to the park to vacate so that the new owners could get one last good look at the property before they signed on the dotted line. So I'm actually taking a little bit of a break from writing at this point. I just finished up this novel that I've been working on for the last 3 months. I got that submitted to Sci-Fi Idea, which is the sponsor of a contest currently going on about the concept of a Dyson sphere. So really stoked about the piece. Easily the best thing I've ever written. Hopefully we're always improving, but this one I really put a lot of heart and soul into it. So enjoying a little bit of a reprieve after that 60,000 word project over 3 months.
Wow, that's super impressive, ER. I actually met George Dyson. I think George Dyson, not the vacuum cleaner Dyson. I think it's the same guy, actually. But anyway, I met that guy one time. His son lives in Bellingham, where I lived and worked on radio for a long time. But anyway, it sounds like a busy week. And Riona, 4,000 words, amazing. ER, 60,000 words. Me, I just woke up. But hey, I should announce both of you guys have new positions with Vagobond magazine. We did a little bit of a restructure and reshuffle. Riona Morgan, congratulations. You are now editor-in-chief of Vagobond magazine, a job that you've been doing for a while. But the title is now yours, well-deserved. And ER, you are our managing editor now. Congratulations to you, my friend. It's exciting for both of you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just glad to be part of the team, and I can't think of someone better to report to than Rihanna here.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited, and I didn't expect that kind of promotion. So that's wonderful and beautiful, and we make a great team. And ER and CD, we've just been working together for a long time here, and it's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait for all of the beautiful things we're going to create together.
I feel the same. I mean, the three of us working together, of course, we're working also with Quanta, our fashion editor, and with Cryptoversal, our literary editor. I guess neither of them could join us today. Quanta, we hope your partner feels better. Some viral illness going on there. We're sorry to hear. But the three of us, anyway, it's a powerhouse, pyramid of power, let's say. And if you don't believe that, check, or if you don't know that, or if you want proof of that, just have a look at the latest issue of Vagobond magazine, which hit the streets a few days ago. It is amazing. It is such a good I say this every time, which is how it should be. We should be getting better, but this is our best issue of Vagobond yet. And I'm super excited. We'll talk about it a little bit more today. I see Dylan has joined us. Dylan, we're happy to have you up on the stage if you want to come up and update us on things or just to hang out. But anyway, congratulations to both you guys on the promotions. I'm excited to be working with you. And, the pay raises were insane at Vagobond magazine. Everybody got a raise. We quadrupled everybody's pay.
Oh, just quadrupled. I'm pretty sure mine's like 1,000% plus.
We are having a ball, that's for certain.
Well, before we dive into the magazine, was there anything in Web3 in particular you guys were looking at this week? What's going on with Web3 Lifestyle? What are you guys seeing?
I'll defer to Rihanna here real quick. Just because IRL stuff has been really the focus on my mind. I was inspired by a piece I read online just recently. I forget the exact name of it, but started going back and reading some classics here. I was reading Marcus Aurelius's the version of his notes I'm reading is called the Emperor's Handbook, and really getting me inspired. It's kind of like my morning devotional these days, but I'm thinking, for the Web3 philosophy angle, it's got some gears turning. So I'm thinking about the next thing that we'll be doing for the October issue here. But other than that, really focused on the big changes that are going on in my life. So Rihanna, hopefully you have a little bit more insight in the community than I do right now.
I know a few things that are going on. I know that there's some big Web3 happenings in Korea right now. I know that the team at Storyverse, they're on the plane on the way to go do that. I get the sense from listening to them talk about it that it's like NFT NYC. So that's great. It's expanding worldwide. And I know that Sasha Styles was involved in a curation activity for a new magazine, but it's more of a literary zine, like literary book magazine, featuring some literary people, but also then some artistic people. And so it's more of an art based, like the arts based Web3 magazine. And I know that because one of my poems was selected to be in this magazine. And so I was just blown away. Like I'd never done anything like that. And I submitted it thinking, oh, well, we'll see. But it really, I'll see if I can find the information on this new publication and share it here so that we can all be aware of it. And then maybe we'll do a feature on them through Roving with Rihanna. And then there's a huge, I feel like being on Twitter, there's a huge influx or not. I'm trying to find the right word. I don't know whether it's, I want to say uprising, but uprising seems to have a negative connotation. It's more the artists are really sort of rising. Lots of photographers, lots of creators, and John Knopf is really spearheading that movement, and it just seems like a beautiful rising of this talent. And so Web3 is not going anywhere. In fact, I really feel like it's the people who are really dedicated and passionate about it are digging in and being like, no, we love it here, and we are going to make certain that this rises and we all rise together. So going back to the rising tides lifts all boats. And so, yeah, it's wonderful. So there's lots of things going on. I'm very excited about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, there is a lot going on. And hey, ER, I think earlier when you said you're selling your house, I hit a laugh emoji instead of a clap emoji. I wasn't laughing at you selling your house. I laugh at me laughing at it. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot going on in Web3, and Web3 isn't going to go anywhere. Web3 is so broad, and just the things that Rihanna talked about. You have what's going on in South Korea right now. You have artists, you have poets, you have photographers and writers. You have Mr. Beast, who's one of the biggest YouTubers out there. He's promoting Creator League, which uses blockchain tech. You have things like, well, Deadfellas is launching something called Culture on Chain. If you guys aren't familiar with Deadfellas, it's an OG PFP project. Now, I think PFP projects, most of them are going to die, and that might raise some people's hackles. But I think there's so many of them, it's inevitable. They say at the moment, in terms of trading NFTs, there's something like 5,000 active wallets. And probably every person who's active has at least 2 or 3, plus there's bots. So, if there's 20,000 trades being made, there's probably 5,000 wallets actually that are involved, 5,000 individuals, which isn't much. But here's the thing. I just wrote a piece last night. I wrote it a few days ago, but I published it last night. And it was about the fact that the NFT promise, there were 2 big promises that came with NFTs that we were really excited about, that sort of like birthed the Web3 culture. And those 2 promises, the first was sharing in the profits, sharing in the company, being able to like buy an NFT and have it sort of be like a share. And the SEC and the FTC basically said, nope, boom, you can't do that. So all the projects that were birthed with that premise have suffered a lot. And then the second one was royalties, that projects would collect royalties and be able to use those royalties to drive value back to the holders. OpenSea and Blur have largely killed the royalties thing. We all love royalties. We think royalties are important. We think that we should be able to have royalties as writers, as creatives, as artists and photographers. But the truth is, the marketplaces didn't enforce it. The protocols didn't enforce it. So the royalties thing is gone. We have to just count it as dead. But people have looked at a lot of that and they've said, hey, Web3's dead as a result of that. NFTs are dead as a result of that. But nothing could be further from the truth, because what happened is communities formed around these ideas, around shared interests. Communities like Storyverse and the Verseverse and Vagobond magazine and PageDAO and Yuga, for that matter, the Bored Apes. And you can find these strong communities that all still exist. Vagobond magazine, we still exist. We're still here because the communities are the important part. So the community formation and the ability for these communities to intermingle, to share ideas, to cross-pollinate ideas, to do different things, that's one side benefit that wasn't seen, that emerged and is real and isn't going to go away. And the other one is something that, as writers and creatives, something that really we love, and that's the ability to interact with our audience in new ways, interact with the people who are involved in our work, to involve them more in our work, to let the consumers of creativity actually be a part of the creativity itself and have greater access to the creatives and things like that. And that's like what you posted with John Knopf, and I think you found that also in your writing, both of you. So those are the 2 things that I think have saved Web3 and will keep Web3 going. And there's a lot going on in the world beyond just people buying and selling NFTs, making money with NFTs. Money is secondary when you're a creative. Creating is primary. But I'll stop talking now. That was a big block of text, a verbal block of text from me.
I definitely agree. That the being able to be a creative and having that creative space, like the freedom to do that, and then the community. But then also, I really feel like down the line, maybe tomorrow even, there will be people that are realizing, oh, this ownership capability, this collectability capability of all of these beautiful things, because we've talked in the past about how people are natural collectors. They love, people, including myself, love to collect and own and have these things that are impactful to them and that mean things to them. And so I love that I have Vagabond magazine in my wallet, and I love that I have some of ER's work in my wallet and CD's work in my wallet. And so I love that, and I think ahead, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and I will still have those. They will still be mine. And so the ownership is also a key piece, I think, that is really going to be impactful going forward.
I couldn't agree more, Riona. And I'm in the same boat, right? Like I've always been a collector, trading cards, comic books, paperbacks. Even a few less than reputable hardbacks that I may have shed when I got married. But I've always, I'm still developing my little library. That's really the way that I look at my NFT collection. It's my my virtual library. It's my virtual catalog. I do want to go back, CD, and thank you for your commentary on the royalty situation, because, from a creator standpoint, that is a dang shame. That was one of the things that was most disappointing in my experience with Soul Type, which you can read about in the latest issue of Vagobond that just dropped. But Magic Eden was one of the places that did not require individuals selling to submit the royalties to the author. I will say, though, however, that I was very pleased by the number of individuals who were trading that still selected the, hey, I'm going to share, maybe not the desired royalty, but a portion of the royalty back on the couple free mints that I did there. So I'm still optimistic. I hope that someone somewhere is going to figure that out, so that it's not all doom and gloom. I recognize that's a bit of idealism on my part, but that was one of the things that really made this space cool. However, as you said, Riona, the collection aspect is still there, and as you mentioned, CD, the engagement and the community building is still there, and I think that both of those veins are still running very strong and powerful, and have me excited to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, Web3 being dead is sort of ridiculous, because it encompasses so much more than just PFPs. It encompasses so much more than NFTs, than, it encompasses so much more. What it is, Web3 at this point, is these communities of decentralized people working together to create cool shit, whether it's fashion, whether it's art, whether it's magazines. But with that, why don't we dive into the issue? We have a blockbuster issue that we dropped just a few days ago, and it's sitting there, and we can sort of just have some commentary. First of all, I want to shout out to Cryptoversal for that cover this month. This was our literary issue. We decided, every issue we have a loose theme that we sort of try to stick with. This was the second annual literary issue, and we asked Cryptoversal, our literary editor, to come up with a cover, and this is what he came up with, and I absolutely love it. It's so Ready Player One and books, and it just really hits everything. What do you guys think about that cover when you look at it?
Oh, dude, so freaking cool. Yeah, no, I like the Ready Player One vibe, but I'm just like, oh yeah, no, that's, my virtual library right there, organization capability included, unfortunately. But no, it's a beautiful piece of cover art. What I'm so jealous. Really makes me want to amp up some of my game when I'm working in my various platforms. But no, he did a great job.
I think so too. In fact, when I saw that, I was like, that's exactly how I envision it. Like there's the reader, and then there's all of these possibilities just around them, and how amazing that is going to be, because technology is really going to enhance the reading experience. And so I think we're going to add this next piece to freedom of creation, community ownership, and then what reading is going to become. There's going to be so many virtual ways that we can have communications with the author, communications with characters, and all of this done in this virtual world. So it's so exciting, and that cover really made me think of all of those possibilities.
Riona, you've got to dive into. That's the first time I have to admit, I've heard that phrase, freedom of creation ownership. Where did that come from? That is awesome.
Me, I just wrote it down just this second, because I'm like, I should do an article on this. This would be really good. So yeah, I just wrote it down.
It's a Riona Morgan original. You heard it here first.
Freedom of creation. I mean, ultimately, that is kind of what drives me in the Web3 space completely, is freedom to create. Not just the freedom to like sit down with a pen and pencil, but to like put it out there and to share it with the world and to collaborate. Collaborative storytelling has long been a thing that has really gotten me excited about the Web3 space. But anyway, freedom of creation movement. I love it, Riona. That's such a good statement. All right, so we can move on. We'll open up the magazine, and of course, you see our masthead with our contributing writers. We have not updated the masthead yet with the new roles, but we will do that for the November issue. And then we get into our beautiful table of contents. The table of contents, when you look at it, it just speaks. And a big part of the reason why is because that Storyverse ape that's there. Riona, I love that you had added him in there.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I saw that when we were going through when I was doing my final read, and I was like, there's some white space there. I have a fellow that will work perfectly. And so that is Jameson Haynes. He's the star of my Storyverse Chasing Shadows, the Devil You Know story.
So when is that coming, actually?
Well, I'm not allowed to say. There's so many amazing things going on with Storyverse behind the scenes. And I did speak with Storyverse about having them be a guest today. But they're on their way to Korea, like I said. And so maybe next Monday, we'll be able to have a representative from Storyverse jump in and talk a little bit about all the amazing things that they are doing. And so I can say that the founder of Storyverse, he is the founder, creator of Farmville. And so he's got these amazing ideas. He's always coming up with these brilliant approaches and how to create this and expand the reach of Storyverse and expand the foundation and creative world that they're putting together. And so it's hard to describe everything, but yeah, the release of Chasing Shadows is coming, but it's not at the point where it can be discussed.
Roger that. Okay, so moving on, we've got my publisher's desk note. Now on that, there was just a couple of things. I talk about this program, BMGM, which we are endeavoring to do every Monday at this time. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell the world, share it, and spread it. We want you to come and be part of this conversation, but we will be doing this every Monday, even on Labor Day. I also talk about the fundraising that I was trying to do for Maui. It didn't go really well. Notes from Nowhere. With Creatopia, we created a special edition of my book, and we published it where people could buy it with fiat, they could, which is cash, or they could buy it with crypto, and all of the proceeds go to Maui Mutual Aid. We were a little late getting it out. There was a lot of fundraisers already, but we did manage to raise about $50, and so I donated $100 to Maui Mutual Aid, and I wanted to be really transparent with that, so I published those in the magazine where everybody could see. And we did that. Also, you can check out the sales report, and since it's blockchain, you can go to Creatopia and see how many editions sold and things like that. But we're going to keep that open, and hopefully it'll provide more aid because there's still issues on the ground. There's been a lot of help, but so that was the publisher's page. But then we moved on to something really cool, which was our first Thread the Story. And Thread the Story was an idea that Quanta came up with. And the idea is that each person can contribute 5 words, and you have to wait for 3 other people to contribute before you can contribute something else. And the idea was just to see what emerged. We set a time limit. We have one of these going on right now in the Vagobond Magazine Discord. Come join us there, and you can participate in the next Thread the Story, and you can get credit in Vagobond Magazine as one of our writers, just like happened here. But ER, you've got a pretty dramatic voice. Will you read Putrid Rotting Plagues Her for us?
Oh, sure. Yep, my pleasure. Okay. Putrid Rotting Plagues Her. The woman lifted her hand. She tried to grab it, missed, but hit the blue urn instead. It tumbled, spilling onto the white carpet below. Her husband's recently cremated ashes flume skyward, creating a fog of iridescent crystal dust. Someone calling at this hour? What the nerve? It's wine time. Now the oldsters gather, ominously, the time-traveling keepers of what will be and what lies will be told. Catastrophe ensues. The dark secrets from her dream. Are they real? Or is this deception of her mind brought on by the hypnotic fog? Sarah screams as ice-cold metal touches her shoulder. The smell of ham putrid, rotting plagues her. She glances at the metallic hand. Is that his ring? Where time does fly, the heartache.
I mean, it's chilling. Like, and the fact that you have, a bunch of writers. You've got NW, BT Dwayne, Plute Stars, Arian Tupon, myself, Riona, Cryptoversal, Quanta. Everybody contributed, and no one contributed like really a full cohesive thought. And yet we came up with this sort of chilling narrative. And Riona Morgan, you actually created the artwork for this piece. It's just absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And I guess I should talk about the fact that we have recently moved Discord servers. So if you're looking for us on our old server, you will find the link to our new server, which I'm also going to post that in the nest very soon, as soon as I stop talking for a while. But we've got a new shiny, beautiful Vagobond magazine Discord server. It's just dedicated to Vagobond magazine, to VMGM, and we know building things in the bear market is hard, but we want a place that you guys can call home, that you can talk about Web3 lifestyle, you can talk about all the things that interest you. So come join us on the Vagobond magazine Discord server. I'll post it up in the nest for us. Riona and ER, I keep seeing Dylan, he pops in and out, but he must be working today. But anyway, what do you guys think of the new server? How's it look for you guys?
I mean, I'm loving it. Again, just coming off my big project, it was actually really good timing for me to get fresh with something new. I invited some of my friends there already, and already got one of them in the next thread, the story, liking where this is going, and noticing it's my turn to post again. I finally have permission. So love this concept, love that this is going to be an ongoing feature, but I think this is going to be something really cool, and is going to allow us to really start off fresh and build this new community into what we're trying to shape it up to be, which is, more than just a magazine, but a place where we can really share, in our mutual, futuristic lifestyle here.
I agree. The Discord seems clean and accessible and welcoming, and so I'm really excited about it, and I love being able to just jump in and chat with people and spend some time building those relationships. There goes back to our community, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've learned a lot about Discord over the past couple of years. I've spent lifetimes on it and on different servers. And so the old, which still exists now, it's the Baltism server, but that one had so many channels. It had so much going on. It was so busy. There were so many different things happening there. Every project that I started or became involved in had basically a section. And so this one, I just want to keep it simple and easy. We basically got a general chat channel, and then we've got, some informational channels that have links and things like that. And then we've got Thread the Story. Keep it simple, and we can just have it that way. So anyway, I did finally post that up in the nest, but we can move on to Cryptoversal. Again, he didn't make it today. Apparently some family things going on with him on this Labor Day, probably barbecuing or something like that. But he actually, is our lit editor, and so he posted the lit space this week. Did you get a chance to read it?
I did get a chance to look at it. I really liked what I felt was an honest tone, taken towards the situation around NFTs. But I liked that he had a positive lift there at the end. And I got to say that I do agree with it. And again, I will admit that I tend to be a bit of an idealist, but I feel like he lays out a very compelling argument there.
I do too. I appreciated that he talked about the new protocol, the ERC 6551, and talked about how it's a crypto wallet that is allowed to be controlled by an NFT, which is held in another crypto wallet. And so it feels like he took a complicated issue and made it be digestible for his readers. And so I thought that was really good. And then I also like that he spoke about the Quest of Evolution and how they've partnered with T2. And for people listening now or in the future, the Quest of Evolution is a decentralized platform that provides a framework for writers and creatives to collaborate on multimedia projects. And so Quest of Evolution, you can be a writer or an architect of a writer, or architect of a story, and then once you've done that, they add a musician and they add an artist. And so then your creative work has three prongs to it that then people in the future can add to and augment and amplify. And so that's what Quest of Evolution is doing. And then T2, they are building a reward for reading system, and they're collaborating, T2 and Quest of Evolution. So I really like that he included all of those things. And his last sentence, the state of NFTs as a medium is bullish. And so he's very excited going forward, just like we are. So wonderful.
Yeah, I just, as a guy who was focused on media studies and anthropology in university, I just love that he opened up talking about Marshall McLuhan. And Marshall McLuhan, his famous quote is, "The medium is the message." And this is it's such an important statement, and for those who aren't familiar, the medium is the message means that when people were using letters to communicate back and forth, that was the medium. And actually, it said a lot about our civilization. And then when we moved to the telegraph, that said a lot about our civilization. When we moved to radio, that said a lot about our and then television, and then the internet. And now the medium is Web3. Web3 is the medium. These decentralized communities, the way that we're connecting is different. And not everybody's doing it yet, but the medium is the message. And so I love that he opened with that and with this huge, huge idea that can be encapsulated in that, and took it right to where it needed to be, which is the state of NFTs as a medium is bullish, because every day I'm learning new things. Last night I published on Nuance for the first time, which is on ICP, the Internet Computer, Dfinity. So that was a pretty cool experience. I published on T2 last week after our space. That was a new experience. And it's so cool to see the medium is still expanding. People are still discovering what the use cases are for it. Hey, Indefatigable has joined us in the audience. I'm going to invite you up, dude. I invited you to be our special guest today. If you want to, you can be. But right now we're talking about the latest issue of Vagobond magazine and just going through it. So I'm going to flip the page. And now, ER, we move to your retrospective on your soul type experience. You touched on this a little bit. Do you want to talk about that further as we move on?
Yeah, I'll add a couple comments. I'll leave most of the content to what is written, but I will share here that I was debating whether or not to write this. My experience at Soul Type and the pieces that I published there in my Chronicles of Nethra universe are incredibly foundational to me, from writing itself and then from Web3. My first 6 novels published were in this Chronicles of Nethra series. And then some of the first works that I ever published in Web3 format on the blockchain were on Solana via Soul Type. And those went through a couple different iterations, and I go through those in depth in the article. Really, the article is intended to provide a perspective where individuals who are trying to jump into the space and maybe things aren't going quite the way that they anticipated, or are just trying to write and be creative in general, and suddenly finding that, hey, there's more obstacles than I thought would be there. So, my intent is for you to find some solidarity here. I really took my time writing this. It's a little bit of a longer article. I was glad that we could fit it into this issue. And I spent a lot of time with the composition and the art that went into it, and really trying to strive towards my core message that we can continue to create. What we have created in the past is important and is an artifact unto itself. But I think that really the greater value in continuous creation is that we get to up our game, and you get to see higher qualities of products, whether it's art, whether it's writing, or some other aspect of your Web3 experience, any part of life. Iteration leads to perfection. It leads to your growth. So I'll kind of leave it at that. I will admit that there were some things in the reflection on soul type that I can't say, and I still can't say here. But I want to make it clear that I look back fondly on my soul type experience, and I've loved every minute, and I'm really looking forward to what I can continue to do in this space. So thanks, CD, for allowing me to include that in this issue.
Hey, it's great, and I mean, you said something. You said a bunch of things in that piece that I thought were really important. But the one that kind of hit me the most was where you said, "I thought it was me. I thought I was deficient. If I had better stories, a bigger audience, a little something every author strives for that makes people buy their books instead of pass them by, maybe things would have turned out differently." Like, it's such a powerful statement because as a writer, especially as a writer working in Web3, like we all experience that. I mean, maybe there's definitely writers who like sell out in an instant, and I have to admit having some envy and I don't know how they do that, but I've never sold anything out in Web3, and I've had those same feelings, and I thought that vulnerability and sharing that in connection with everything else that you shared in that article made it really powerful and was really approachable. So thank you for your honesty, and thanks for sharing that. Everything was soul type. Like, we don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but we sure hope for the best.
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, I'll reiterate that. My MO is not overnight success. That's not what I've experienced. I've had some small success. I'm very proud of the venues and the opportunities I've had to publish and the small bit of recognition that I've had. But that comes back to going back to the computer, going back to writing, going back to creating. Just to build off that, I would tell anybody listening, don't get discouraged because this is a long game. We're working it all together.
I definitely agree. I'm going to echo exactly what you said. This is the long game. This is the long play. And when I first joined the Web3 space, when I published with any of these different platforms, it was really, how does it work? What are they doing? What are they bringing to the Web3 space? And I just really feel like that having that approach and having that learning with us all together is really great. And I love the pieces and things that you shared that you learned. And so it just really helps speak to what we're going to need in the future and what kind of platform we're going to need to have built and created for the writers in the space. And so I'm excited, and I'm excited that PageDAO is one of these places that is going to build the platform that we all need. And so I wish that our friend Indy would jump up and chat with us a little bit and tell us a little bit about that. But maybe we're not ready to share lots of things, and so when we are, maybe he can jump in and tell us.
I mean, we're all at the conceptual level here. Hi, everybody. There's some epic people in this space. I love you all so much. And I'm so happy to support Vagobond magazine. I own every single copy that was ever minted on chain, on multiple blockchains. And I mean, I think we think about this like from the philosophical level first, like what is it we're doing? What's happening? So I think approaching it from curiosity. What is the technology capable of? Who are the players? How do we support each other in this evolving technological world? And there's some really really cool patterns that have emerged, that some are new manifestations of very old things. Even this conversation here, I can imagine an old Parisian salon where some really cool people are hanging out like on the chaise lounge and like talking over whatever. They're all like expats and erudite, whatever. But and you know, it's really really important, I think, that we keep the human element in our discussions. And I think looking at the unbelievable E.R. Donaldson retrospective on Soul Type, which is so important. I can't even, like, not only does it look cool, I mean, it's got like the cool graphics and the cool layout, and the storytelling is so human and like direct in its language. It's like, but also entertaining. So it's got like a lot of elements that a lot of people can learn from. I work with a lot of hood people who are like really, really after the model of like blow up and get rich or die trying, and they see success stories and they're like, why not me? And everybody thinks that they're going to be the next big thing. And I spend a lot of time kind of like trying to just re-educate on values so like, along with here's how you set up your wallet, here's what blockchain is, here's what to avoid, I'm also trying to reframe the exercise to be one of, what is it that we're actually getting out of, like, where we are right now? What are we getting? What, like, not what are we heading towards tomorrow necessarily, but like, what is the value we're getting right now? And when we share our vulnerability, our stories, our trials, our challenges, our mini successes, like micro victories, like CD always shouts out, what we're doing is we're creating like a healthy framework right here, right now, for us to like build off of. Anyway, so I know technology underpins all this, but I think when I look at like, say, for example, a new privacy verse chain, what I'm looking for is the language and leadership that points toward those kind of values, because that's the thing that's going to last, not the snatch and grab, you know, Wild West expansion kind of mentality. And it's an ineffable thing. It's hard to evaluate, right? Because people can talk that language, community, wag me, right? And but it doesn't necessarily always fit in the decision making. And I also the final thing in this very non-technical thing is that I think a certain amount of pragmatism also is important, because it's fine and dandy for people not to talk about money making when they already have money, but when people are living, you know, hand to mouth, foot to mouth, something to mouth, check to check, whatever, no check to no check. You know, you really want to make something happen, and there's a sort of desperation and even you know, grind kind of mentality to how we operate. Even in those scenarios, I think it is still really, really important to focus on what it is we have. So like, you can feel like you have a lack of abundance, but like sometimes a reframing of perspective allows you to see all of the abundance you have, like all the information the world has ever known or close to it at your disposal, the ability to connect with people all the time and share your thoughts and hear other people's thoughts. It's like, how are we surrounded by so much abundance, and ways to help other people, which is, I think, the secret to abundance. This turned into a rant. Why are you allowing this? Why has no one unmuted and shut me up? What is happening? That's it. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Dude, nobody wants to shut you up, Robbie. When you start talking, dude, when you start feeling it, I just want to listen. So all I got to say is preach, my friend. And when you're on it, be on it. All right. Well, we're super happy to have you here. We're super happy that you unmuted and you came up on the stage and shared that. So we'll move on. I have so much that I could say. I love the no check to check, which I don't think you said no check to check, but I like no check to check because it's like that's been my existence for a lot of my existence. No check to check, and what am I going to do now? So anyway, let's move on a little bit. ER's piece, you got to read it. If you haven't read it, go check it out in the issue. One of the great things with Vagobond magazine is you don't even have to buy an issue to read it. You can come into the drugstore, pick it up, read the entire issue, and nobody's going to say, hey, wait, why don't you buy that? But if you do want to buy an issue, it'll support things like us buying new software so that we can make a better podcast, us finally being able to pay our editors an actual amount of money at some point, and maybe to pay our writers an actual amount of money. So when you buy a copy of Vagobond magazine, you actually are supporting Web3, the Web3 lifestyle, and the future of the space. Maybe if we sell enough copies, we'll even hire Indefatigable to come do amazing things with us, because who knows what could happen. I did see that E.R. Donaldson, it's interesting that he came on as managing editor of Vagobond magazine, and in that piece, towards the end, this might have slid by people, he said, it's not like I've made my own bid yet at launching a platform for literary NFTs. So there's something to think about as you hear our space and read his article. So we are not getting through the whole magazine today, and that's awesome, because Quanta's not here with us, and really I want Quanta to be able to talk about Squad, her project. But Riona, why don't we skip over Squad and refashion this time? And maybe you can talk a little bit about Storyverse, the Roving with Riona Meet the Publisher aspect. You went into that a little bit, but you can gloss over it more if you want, or go into detail.
Yeah, definitely. And so I decided with the transitioning out of summer that there are so many publishers that we know about, but we don't really know about them. And so I thought it would be really great if I did some deep dives on some different publishers. And so at this point, I think I have 7 or 8 publishers in the Web3 space lined up for articles in the future. And the first one that I picked out was Storyverse. They seem to be doing lots of really great things, and I'm involved with them in a professional level as Rihanna Morgan, the writer. But I did want to talk a little bit about the kinds of things that they are putting together, and they are gamifying their stories and how they've created their platform. And so what they've done is they've opened up the offering for people who own these blue chip PFP pieces to mint a Storyverse pass. And once they've minted the Storyverse pass, just like Crypto Von Doom, he's actually the owner of when you look at the magazine, you'll see a picture of a Bored Ape. He's the owner of the Bored Ape. He minted his story pass and selected me as the writer. We collaborated on it to be selected as the writer for his ape. And I pitched my story to him, and he was like, yep, I really like it. And so that was the process of one of the ways that a writer could be involved in Storyverse. The other way is if you own your own Bored Ape, you could be a writer for your own story. And so I talk a little bit in this piece about he goes by Turk online. He's an online personality, but he's also Troy. He's a 2-time Screen Actors Guild Award nominee, renowned for his role in the HBO's hit show Barry. He owns his own ape, and so he's written his own story called Fez Love. And so those are 2 ways to be involved. One, if you own your own PFP, you can write your own story. If you have your PFP, but you don't necessarily want to be the writer, you can connect with writers that are in the Storyverse universe, and they'll write a story for you. And there's lots of them coming, and they've opened it up even here recently for more people to mint their Storyverse passes. And then once that's done, then the people who buy the story, it's a choose your own adventure story. So as you go through the story, this is what happened with the characters, and then at the end, it gives two choices, and the reader or the collector gets to choose the choice, and then it puts them through the story in the other way. And lots of people are encouraged to buy a couple of them so that if they want to change their mind, because once they've made the choice, then that portion of it, they can't go back and rechange their mind. It's not like reading when we were kids and we'd put our fingers in the book and be like, okay, well, this is the way we want to go, and this is the way we want to go. And so it really is a very innovative idea to utilize stories, the PFP pieces, and gamifying the reading activity. And so that's basically, in a nutshell, what Storyverse is doing.
Wow. I did not realize. I didn't realize who Turk was, but I think I understand who Turk is now. That's pretty cool. That was my big wow. But you said so many things that were a big wow there. Absolutely love it. And your experience with Storyverse, it's been so fun to watch that unfold and to see your enthusiasm grow with it. I mean, I remember when you took those first meetings, and it's just, I was like, oh, is this going to be another one of those projects that's flash in the pan, it shows up and then it's gone? Nope, it has not been. It sounds like it's just gotten bigger and better all along the way. I can't wait to see your story.
Yeah, thank you. It's really an experience, writing and doing these different things. And I really feel like if we go back to our premise of freedom of creation, that this is one of those freedoms, because I'm writing things I've never written before, and it's really just amazing. And so I just can't wait for all the writers to come try. It's like you just get to go from island to island and try all these amazing things. And so I can't wait for people to come.
I own a character pass. When Storyverse came along and I saw those show up, I was like, oh, I got to get one. I didn't even know what it was, didn't know what to do with it. Still don't. But one of these days, when I don't have 100 other things to do, my plan is to dive into it and see what I can do with that thing.
Yeah, you definitely should. Because now there's lots of hands-on, there's lots of interaction, there's lots of learning and building, and so it's really a great time to be involved.
Okay, we've just got a few more minutes. I'm gonna actually skip past the refashion section, which actually we had an amazing Edward came and contributed an article with Quanta this time. So hopefully we can get both of them on next week to talk about that. So I'll skip past that and I'll briefly touch on a couple of little pieces that I put in this issue. The first one is about Broadside. And Broadside has been an amazing project to be part of. Like, what they did was they essentially took a lot of CCO characters that were really popular, things by XCopy and other artists that have done really well in the space, and they created these PFPs essentially. But that wasn't what I got excited about with Broadside. It launched in November 22, and what I got excited about was they decided they were going to do something interesting. They were going to do like people do with kids' books, where you could basically have a generic book and you put the kids' names into the generic book, but they did it with the PFPs. So they named all the PFPs that they created, 10,000 of them. And if you own the PFP, you would get these free drops of the chapters of a novel that they wrote. And it's created by Victor Meldrew, Matt Mason, and Charlie Stratford Rex. And so they wrote this novel and they released the chapters one at a time. And just last month, they finally allowed you, if you had all the chapters, you could burn your book. You could get an edition with the name of your PFP unique. So a unique edition of this novel is dropped to you. Basically you had to burn the chapters in order to get the completed novel. And if you had chapter 0, you were able to get it, inscribed, basically, like, mine says, hey, Vagobond in it. So anyway, Broadside, really cool. If you haven't seen that collection, I really highly recommend that you look at it. This was the literary issue, so we're focused on that. The other big article that I wrote was about Planet Quest. And Planet Quest has been just this amazing thing to watch. I own a couple small pieces. Again, it's one of those projects that is so big that I just haven't had the time to give it the proper attention it deserves and to become involved in it. But what it is it's this huge, epic, galactic odyssey that spans worlds. They create new planets. They created an algorithm. Their art director is like this really amazing guy who has put all this together, and the whole team is pretty amazing. If you haven't checked out Planet Quest, again, we're running out of time, so I'm not going to go too deeply into it. But essentially, they've created this universe that you get to help create, and it has textures, it has planets, there's gaming involved, there's all of this stuff that's involved with Planet Quest. So I'm rushing too much on explaining this stuff. Maybe we can talk about these another time in a little more detail. I do want to open it up to you guys. Anything else that you guys would like to share before we close out this edition of VMGM in a couple minutes?
I think just inviting everybody to come join our Discord, come be part of the conversation, and come be part of the Web3 lifestyle with us.
Yeah, right on. I mean, this is a great group of friends. So even if you aren't in the NFT space, if you're curious, you're skeptical of Web3, just come hang out with us. It's a good time, good group of people. Let's come create together. You don't need to be a degen to be in this space. Don't miss out.
Indy, anything you'd like to share before we head out into the wild blue yonder of Labor Day?
Yeah, like, enjoy reclaiming your own labor. Like, welcome to, it's a hard world, but like, we set the terms, so let's go.
Man, I just love you. I swear, dude. Someday I'm just going to give you this big hug, man. I might even give you a big kiss on the cheek because you are an awesome individual. I'm so glad you joined us today. So next week, hopefully, we'll have Odd Writings on to talk about his curation of the verse, which you'll also find in the latest issue. If you can't wait to hear from him, don't forget to look at Refashion and also at the Squad. And don't worry, Baldism and Bald Jesus, they still have a place in Vagobond magazine. We parted ways. I wrote a very fun, celebrity divorce notification about us parting ways, but it's definitely amicable and friendly. So that's all I got for you guys. Much love to all of you. And thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this thing that we all love and are passionate about. And you just want to open your mic and say whatever. We'll close it out in a minute or so. But we might have just a minute of silence. But knowing you guys, I doubt it.
Much love, everyone. See you next time.
Take care, y'all. Have a good week.
Peace.